Welcome to Meeple Mentor. I'm Jared and we're about to play Charterstone. Let's take a look. I'll show you how. As I go over everything, feel free to pause the video as needed to follow along with your copy of the game. For your convenience, I've added timestamps in the description to the different sections of the tutorial. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell below the video so you don't miss any of my latest content. Charterstone is a fantastic worker placement legacy game from Stonemaier Games. If you've not played a legacy game before, this is a great one to start with. A legacy game involves permanent changes to the game board, cards, rules, and components. Take this time to grab a few pens and markers as you'll end up writing on things during the game. Charterstone goes through a campaign of 12 games, ideally played with the same people each time, since everyone will slowly be building up their own personal charter on the board map. The board becomes a reflection of the choices you've made up to this point, for better or worse. So find yourself a few friends who will dedicate their time to completing the campaign, and you'll have the best experience the game can offer. At the end of your campaign, you'll have a fully playable board that you and your friends built together, which you can use to play over and over again without any more changes. However, if you want to start from scratch all over again, Stonemaier sells a recharge pack for Charterstone that gives you everything you'll need to do a second campaign on the back of the board. Since it's a legacy game with new rules that appear throughout its campaign, I'll do my best to keep this tutorial focused and not containing any spoilers. As with any legacy game, coming in not knowing what could happen is part of the fun and excitement you'll get by playing through it. To that end, I'll also leave any story set up for you to discover as you play. The object of each game is to be the one to score the most victory points. With that, let's take a look at setting up your first game. Inside the box, you'll find all sorts of numbered and lettered boxes. Never open anything unless the game directs you to do it. The index box is the first thing you want to look at. Open it and all the cards within. Do this carefully and in order since the cards are already in numbered order. Keeping them in their proper numerical order is essential to finding them later when told to. The rulebook of Charterstone is called the Chronicle and will get you started for each game on what you need to know. As the campaign proceeds and new rules or components come into play, you'll be placing the new rule stickers on the empty label spaces. So don't worry, you didn't receive an incomplete rulebook. Well, you did, but it was on purpose. The archive box will be the depository throughout the campaign for removed components or cards from the game. Before I go any further, I should point out the most recently released FAQ is found on Stonemaier's website, as well as uploaded to the files of the Board Game Geek listing. I'll put these links in the description below. With everyone around the table ready to play, take out the first card in the index, which is card number 1, and read it out loud to everyone. Follow the instructions on the card. While technically that's all you need to do to start playing your first game, I'll cover now as much as I can to prepare you. You'll only be using cards provided to you by the instructions. If you're playing with your group now, this is a good time to pause and read through some of the first few cards the game tells you to, and opening the boxes it says. Essentially, each player will get to choose a charter and take the components from their charter chest box, matching the color and symbol of their charter. You'll get 2 workers to use to take worker placement actions. These tokens are known as influence tokens. Each player will have 12 to use during each game. Each player should place their victory point token at 0 on the victory point track. I recommend players sit near where their charter color is represented on the board. The 6 possible charters are sectioned out surrounding the center commons. Throughout a game, you'll want to collect money and resources to accomplish various things. These coins are the currency you'll use. The resources in the game are metal, coal, pumpkins, grain, clay, and wood. Create supply piles of all of these off the board. The coins and resources are a limited resource. The cards that have this large asterisk symbol are known as advancement cards. Collect the available advancement cards provided for your first game and shuffle them. Lay out the advancement board near the main board. Place the shuffled deck of advancement cards and lay out the top 5 on the open spaces. Lay out the objective board as well, which shows a purple target and arrow symbol. The objective cards have this symbol shown on their backs. Shuffle them and reveal 3 face up onto the objective board. Leave the rest of the deck face down on the labeled space for them. The progress token should be placed on the progress track corresponding to the number of players in your current game. The area in the corner is for guidepost cards, which won't be present in the first game. The large colorful die is known as the Charterstone. Roll it until it shows an active charter. That player will be the first player to start the game. Then place the Charterstone on its location in the center of the game board. Everyone should collect $4 from the supply. This money is given at the start of the first game only. Going forward, no free money is provided. Starting with the first player, everyone keeps taking turns going clockwise until the game is over. On your turn, you can do one of 2 things. Either place a worker on a location on the board to take its action, or pick up all your workers. Each location on the board can hold only 1 worker at a time. However, you can place your worker on an occupied spot and immediately kick off the one there. Whoever owns it immediately gets it back, including if it's your own. The left side of the building locations show the cost to pay to take the action. After paying what's required, you gain the benefit at the right of the building. The 12 influence tokens you start with are limited. When you run out, you can no longer take actions that would require them. At the start of your turn, if you don't have any influence tokens, you must advance the progress token 1 space towards the end of the game space before taking your turn. Placed influence tokens cannot be moved or removed until the game ends. Sometimes they're placed specific places, and other times they're spent as a cost and discarded to a general supply. Occasionally, you'll see cards or buildings that gain you influence as its benefit. These must be taken from the general supply you previously discarded one to. The Commons is the center section of the board and contains 5 pre-constructed buildings or worker spaces that you may go to. At the Treasury, you may spend 1 of any resource back to the supply to gain 1 coin. At the market, you may spend 1 resource and 1 coin to take one of the face-up advancement cards shown on the advancement board. After taking it, immediately refill the empty space with a new face-up card from the top of the deck. Any cards you gain during the game must be kept face-up in front of you, and you may not hide your cards from other players. As you play, you'll see that there are 7 types of advancement cards possible, but I won't go into all of them here, since they're not all available from the start. One of these types is the assistant cards. It is labeled at the top left of the card and has the assistant icon next to it. When you gain an assistant, it is in play in front of you. The blank space at the top is for you to name them. So if you take an assistant that doesn't have a name, you get to immediately give them a name. Just write it on the card. The assistants will give you bonuses or boosts to do certain actions that you would do during the game. Each assistant card will tell you what it does at the bottom. You may place a worker at the grandstand building if you've completed an objective shown on the objective board. Place 1 of your available influence tokens on the objective you completed and then score 5 victory points. Each player may score each objective once per game. Additionally, since the progress icon is shown next to the grandstand's name, you'll need to advance the progress token along the progress track. Anytime a player goes to the Zeppelin, the Charterstone, or the grandstand, they'll advance this token. This reminder is shown on the board within the progress track. If you move the progress token onto a space with the boat icon, you may gain 1 reputation. If you move it onto the arrows in a circle, everyone earns income, but income won't be a thing for a while, so it'll come into play later in the campaign. You can ignore it for now. Placing a worker at the Zeppelin building is how you build new buildings in your charter. You must first have a building card collected with the sticker for the building still on it. Pay 3 influence tokens and the 4 resources required by the building. Then peel off the sticker and place it in an empty hexagonal space in your charter. Just make sure they're facing the same direction as every other building space on the board. Gain 5 victory points and advance the progress token forward 1 space. The new building is available on the board as a new action space for any player to use. At the beginning of the campaign, your charter will be able to hold 6 new buildings. If the building card you just used shows a crate icon on it, keep it in your supply. If not, discard it to the archive box. The last building space in the Commons is the Charterstone. Going here lets you unlock the crates from constructed building cards in your supply, as shown by this icon. You may not unlock a crate from an unconstructed building card whose sticker is still on it. The building must be built before its crate can be unlocked. After placing your worker here, pay the cost shown on the left, which is $4 and 2 influence tokens. Discard them to the general supply. Now gain 5 victory points and advance the progress token 1 space. Check the index guide printed on the index box to see what components you've unlocked with the crate. The crates are typically numbered. Read all the new cards you may have unlocked, and remember the index guide may refer you to open a box. At these times, remember to look for the closed boxes with labels and not just for new cards in the index. If the crate provided a new Persona card, place it directly in your charter chest to use in a later game. Anything gained by opening the crate is yours. There's one more available action space building on the board that I haven't talked about yet. It's the Cloud Port building, found underneath the quota track. Going to the Cloud Port costs 1 influence and lets you engage the quota track as shown by the icon here, and gain 3 points. The symbols on the left of the chart show what you must pay. You can pay resources, money, or advancement cards you've collected. The number required is shown at the top of the chart. You may place your influence token on any empty space in the chart to make the exchange. If you place your influence token on a space with a victory point shown, you gain 1 extra point, and if you cover up the boat space, you may gain reputation on the reputation track. The reputation track is found in the top right corner of the board. The first time a player earns reputation in a game, they'll place an available influence token on the track, covering the space showing the number of players. Any other reputation gained will be added to spaces on the track going towards the sea at the top of the board. Once it's full, no one may gain any more reputation that game. Certain quota track spaces and progress track spaces give players reputation as a bonus. Extra victory points are given to first, second, and third place on this track at the end of the game. Ties are always friendly in Charterstone. When the progress token advances to the final space, which looks like an hourglass, finish the round so each player had equal turns. All components in each player's personal supply should be placed in their charter chest and carried over into Game 2. Next, you should take out card 17 from the index and do exactly what it says. I won't go into more detail as to not spoil things. I will say that you should read everything and get everything out that you're told to. Ties are always friendly in Charterstone, so tying for the win means a shared win. If you're directed to add rules or story to the Chronicle, make sure you place them in the right spots. Rules go in the rules area and the story stickers go near the end in the story section. There's a solo mode in the game as well, whose rules can also be used in games with other people as an extra automated player. The Atoma booklet describes how to play solo in detail, as well as incorporating the Atoma player into a game of 2 to 5 people. Using the Atoma in the first game is not recommended. However, don't worry about empty spaces on other charters, since there are times the rules will tell you to add specific buildings to them when not playing a full 6-player game. That way, the game remains balanced and no important building is ever missed out on. Lastly, you shouldn't worry too much about filling up your charter, as you may have ways later to keep building. These points aren't regarded as spoilers, as they're displayed either in the starting Chronicle rulebook or the FAQ on the Stonemaier page for before playing Game 1. Knowing this increases enjoyment of the game. With the explanation I've provided, you should be well on your way to discovering the many secrets on your own of the Legacy campaign for Charterstone. Keep the rulebook handy and check BoardGameGeek.com for FAQs and extra content. Check the video description for links to Top Shelf Gamer for token upgrades and SleeveKings.com for a 10% off coupon on card sleeves. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you found this teaching helpful. Stick around to watch another Learn to Play video. And remember, teach when you can, but always be learning. See you next time.